Switch to lobby, we are.
Okay, we're live.
She did mine once.
Welcome to the April Curriculum Committee. It is April 18th and welcome. I appreciate everybody being here and being on time. Thank you very much. We have a packed agenda tonight, so let's go ahead and get started. Dr. Lehman, who's up first? The clubs?
Yeah, we're going to do the high school clubs with Mr. Joe Colella and Dr. Beans.
Okay.
All right, thank you. If you would pay attention to the screen, if you don't mind. Early last school year, so late 2021, Mr. Colella and I met at the curriculum committee meeting at that time. So I'm just going to give you a little bit of a history for those of you that may or may not know. For clubs at the high school that are approved by the curriculum committee, there was an old system in which clubs would come in haphazardly. There was a downloadable form on our website that students would fill out with their requests for clubs. Mr. Colella, who is in charge of extracurricular activities at the high school, would filter through those clubs, and as they came to his attention, he would bring them to the curriculum committee, and the curriculum committee would evaluate those clubs one by one. You go to the next one. And with the old system, there was some issues, right? So you would have to have a committee every other, club every other meeting would have to be looked at. Proposals were made during the year, and then there was a year where the club would run with as an introductory period. So it was kind of staggered, and it was definitely haphazard. It was a little sloppy, and the old application was a little difficult to follow. So hearing the feedback from the committee at that time, Mr. Colella and I got together and revamped the system. That's a picture of the old application. That was a little hard to follow. So you can go to the new system. And the next one, please. In where instead of students bringing applications to Mr. Colella and Mr. Colella bringing them to the board month by month by month, the system would start where we would have an application process for the entire school between the months of September and November and December, where students would bring applications or submit applications online. It's all digital now. Submit through a Google form their requests for club approval. Dr. Colella will then take some time and go through those clubs and see which ones we can incorporate into existing clubs and or combine proposals together to create one club that would better suit the school and better suit our students and serve our students more broadly. So because we changed that process last year, we actually went a whole year without having any clubs proposed to the curriculum committee. But tonight will be the first time that we are proposing clubs through the new system. And Mr. Colella is going to take you through what those clubs are and kind of the process that he had to go through to make the clubs most beneficial to our students. Again, they will start in September, the club, and it will be 1 year of probationary time for those clubs to run, so we can see how they're working and how they're working well, or how they're not working well. And then we can evaluate the use of the clubs after that. So the realistic part of it, and I think the good part of it, is we kind of had a little bit of a moratorium on creating new clubs for like the last year and a half. We have a lot of clubs at this high school, and there's a lot of interests for our students, which we want to meet. But I think we want to meet it in the right way, and I think the system that we've come up with actually meets the needs of all of our students in a very good way, in a very nice way. So I'm going to pass it off to Mr. Colella, who's going to talk a little bit about the process this year and the clubs that we are recommending for approval this next meeting.
Thank you, Dr. Higgins. And just to piggyback on what Dr. Higgins had mentioned, we also incorporated some of the additional questions, really reflecting what the committee wanted from us. The committee wanted more information in terms of goals, mission statements, things like that. So we included all that in our new application. And so far it's worked quite well. So Alan, can you go to the next slide? That's our updated club form. So that's basically just a screenshot of the Google form itself. The Google form has worked great because there's no questions as to when it's coming in, who's delivering it. It's automatic. I get an email as soon as one is delivered, and we can take it from there. All right, Alan, go to the next one, please. So let's get into what we received this year. Next slide, please. Here's a list of all the clubs that we received applications for. You'll see the first four are very similar. The school needs, as per me, they need something that, we need a South Asian cultural group. There are 4 separate applications for that. We had a speech and debate team application, again, something that most top high schools have at their school. An aerospace and aviation club, again, something I think would be really beneficial to the school. Astronomy club, writer's room, a chess club, a yoga club, an acts of grace club. That club has to do with basically community service. Aerospace, aviation, and I'm sorry, I included that twice. And I included the astronomy club twice as well. My bad. Sorry about that. Next slide, please. Here are the applications that were not recommended for approval, and this is why. Writers Club, we already have a writing lab here at the school. So the Writers Lab was basically an organization to help kids with editing their work. We already have something at the school with a certified staff member, helming that. So why have that club? Chess Club, that's something we can do in our lifelong rec club. And I talked to each one of the kids who submitted these clubs to make sure they know there are other outlets for them. And they were very understanding. Yoga club, we already have a unified fitness yoga club here, so that's something they can do at that venue. Acts of Grace, we have a lot of clubs that do community service here, a lot of clubs that get into that, so I don't think we need another one. And our Bollywood dance team decided instead of waiting the whole year for the club to be approved or not, they're working with our existing multicultural club, and they're actually doing a big show at the end of the year this year, so it's going to be multicultural dance situation. So those worked really well. Next slide, please, Alan. There were a few clubs we were able to consolidate, as Dr. Higgins alluded to, our Aerospace and Aviation Club and our Astronomy Club. Again, they're very similar in nature, so we decided to put them together. The Aerospace and Aviation Club will be doing what we're technically doing right now in our Tech Club. That's our Rocketeer and our Rocketry competition. So they'll assume responsibility for that as well as our Astronomy. Back in the day, we used to have astronomy nights, and Danielle remembers these. They're fantastic. Little ones would come, our amateur astronomers would come to the school, set up their giant telescopes, like bigger than me, and the kids would get a kick out of seeing, assuming it was a clear night, right? So we're gonna bring that back. So that was just, again, bringing the community back into the school and celebrating, learning. So we decided to put those two together. Again, I met with both sets of kids. They're willing to consolidate. And then our 3 South Asian groups decided they wanted to do the same. So they consolidated into the Monroe Township South Asian Student Association. So we were able to do those consolidations. Next slide, please, Alan. So these are, and this is the final slide, these are the 3 clubs that we are seeking approval for. First being the speech and debate team. As I mentioned, this is something I think that the school can really use. It promotes so many great things with literacy, and it exposes our kids to real life competition that really helps them formulate an argument, be able to argue the other side. These are very important skills for our kids when they're presenting before a board or they're presenting before a committee. Again, having that public speaking is essential. Our Aerospace and Aviation Club, I think there's going to be a rocketeering focus, but there will also be that astronomy as well. And lastly, we were able to consolidate the 3 South Asian groups into our Monroe Township South Asian Student Association that's going to, again, celebrate South Asian culture here at the school in different ways. Any questions?
Before I open it up to questions, I just want to say thank you both very much. You heard us, you have, you gave it that breath and that time. And I think you've done an incredible job getting this to us in this fashion. Gave you an opportunity as administrators to really see what is going to work. Because you're right, we have a lot of clubs here, and I'm sure it must be a difficult task to continue to try and who's running it. If this teacher leaves, oh my God, we have to find somebody to run that club because it's a popular club. And to give an opportunity for the kids also to do like a club rush or, once, come and tell us what you got, and then we put it all together. And then to see them all collaborate, so there's a pocket of students who want to do this, and now South Asian association is coming together, astronomy, those were all yes, Little League was about one broader topic, bigger club. I think, and this is kind of what we were looking for and looking at to just, you know, make it easier for the kids as well as for the district and everything to know what we have and what we do. I think this is, I'm so happy right now. Like, this made me smile. This made me very happy. Not that, you know, making me happy is what you guys are here to do, but, I really appreciate that you listened for us and that you went for the change that we needed here in the district when it came to clubs here at the high school and moving forward. So I really do, appreciate that. So now I'll open it up to questions. Good job.
I have no questions. I want to echo your thoughts here. And I also want to say that not only is this so organized and beautiful, it'll also teach our students, it'll make them appreciate the process and the discipline of doing it at a certain time. And I also want to give a huge shout out to the student, Ruhi Kulkarni. She's a very accomplished speech champion, I would say, at state and national level. I think she's representing New Jersey at the national, and for her to come back and do this and mentor other students, I want to give her a shout out. I know she'll be a senior next year, so she's only going to be 1 year on that club, but I'm sure that 1 year is enough for her to bring everything that she's learned into our school. And you're right, it was much needed to get that club out. So thank you.
And
Very happy.
if you don't mind me adding to that, she's not the first student that has done that for us. We've had students in the past that were competing on their own, just like
Right,
she
was
is.
doing,
Yep.
right.
She represents Monroe Township, but it's not fit for capacity. But they have been very successful, and all of those students, they've been talking about a speech and debate club for a couple of years now. So we're very excited that we're able to start it.
I'm very happy that it's finally happened. Thank you. Congratulations.
Okay, anybody else? Again, thank you so much. This is wonderful. This is great. Gave us a chance to take a breath and this is really good. Dr. Lehman, what are we up to?
Moving on the agenda. So Dr. Higgins is going to give us an update on the course offerings at the high school and some other updates related to that.
Yep, this will be fairly brief. I think it's more questions than it is presentation at that point. In November, I first came before the committee to talk about the new course offerings that we were putting out, and there was a lot that came with that. We had a new process with those course offerings, and we had prerequisites, and we had teacher recommendations. That was a fairly new but old process here in Monroe that we were bringing back. I think that we've so far believe that process is working. We believe that students, just looking at the numbers of the levels, the different levels that students are going into next year, we believe the process is working. We believe they are being placed appropriately and where they want to be and where they would like to try to challenge themselves in different levels. And we know what that's going to look like. And I think it's going to be much better for our students taking opportunities in the fall. One of the pieces of feedback that we received from the committee was to expand the areas of AP computer science principles. And we've worked together to open an additional 4 sections of those classes. And we will be able to effectively schedule every student that is requested it for next year. So we ran into a couple of hurdles through that period, but we were able to work collaboratively among some of the supervisors and Dr. Lehman and Ms. Chanley to put everything in the right direction and get those sections open. And we will be able to take them. Now, it's going to be a little different, and I'm going to ask Mr. Monroe at some point to jump in here, because we will be offering them through some of our tech ed teachers teaching through Project Lead the Way. It is an AP recognized course by College Board, and it will be the same course provided from those 2 AP Computer Science Principles and AP Computer Science Principles A. They will not be taught by a math teacher. They will have a different course code in our Genesis, so it will not count for math credit. Which shouldn't be a problem because the students that are taking these courses usually have enough math credit in it. So if you want to talk a little bit about the program itself.
So just how it would fit in with the existing program and just so, and be very clear. So Project Lead the Way is you've probably heard us reference it a lot over the last decade. That is our district's official engineering, specifically, I don't want to say STEM because we subscribe to the engineering curriculum, but it's our governing curriculum management system that's endorsed by the State Department of Education, and that's inclusive of robotics initiatives and all things within. It's been pretty well documented how difficult it is to staff computer science positions, particularly in the manner of which it is expected to be taught in the 21st century, as software becomes more sophisticated and the expectations at the collegiate and professional level evolve. So Project Lead the Way, in response to the shortage, has designed courses that align to what they call the APCSP, which is the Advanced Placement Computer Science Principles. And I want to be clear, it's just computer science principles, not to be confused with computer science A.
I'm sorry.
Yep, but so the course, and there is a difference. Project Lead the Way designed their course within the spirit of the College Board's framework, and it uses Python as its primary tool for language coding and its applications. And they go into other elements of computer science that is more aligned to the technology education, pre-voc, engineering, robotics side of things. So the curricular framework aligns directly to the College Board exam. However, much like courses are offered interdepartmentally, it has a different lens on it, and is permitted to be taught under the technology education certification, which is the real important thing, because now we have more staff that are qualified to teach it, and we vetted that with Ms. Christie to make sure that certification is all in place. The other thing we really like about this build out, other than the fact that, well, two things, right? We're able to respond to the community's demand, which is the most important thing. The other thing is this is allowing for further elective balancing that we believe is going to help house some of our unhoused students and provide more equity for as far as course requests in other electives. So when you think about 4 additional sections of computer science, those are, about 25 kids a pop, usually maybe 30 these days, that are being denied an elective of their first choice. Therefore, they must go into another elective, which may be their second or third choice, and that creates imbalances in electives, sometimes resulting in unhoused students in other areas and understaffed classes or other populated classes and others. So we're excited about the balancing that this can do. We're excited that our engineering and robotics students are going to have some curricular tie-ins that support some of their efforts. And most importantly, we feel really good about responding to the community's call in a viable curricular way. The programs that we're going to be offering in the 4 sections that Dr. Higgins mentioned will be the AP Computer Science Principles, and we are going to run Project Lead the Way Computer Science Principles that will not be taught within the AP framework. So students that maybe want a little bit of a different experience, maybe not necessarily the AP rigor or have no intentions of taking the AP exam, can access the computer science principles in a differentiated environment that could meet their needs. I have no official word on this, but we've been predicting that computer science will be a graduation requirement within the next decade for all learners. And I think this helps us get prepared for that, much like we did in 2007 with the economics and finance mandate. We were 2 years ahead of that. And more importantly, computer science, from our perspective, is the new Microsoft Office and the Adobe Suite. It should be our expectation that our Monroe Township students at the high school leave here with some exposure to that, especially if they want it. I have to applaud the high school and Dr. Patelli specifically, because this was something that we wanted to do and also provide further support to other staff that have been shouldering a load for this important and emerging content area. So we're excited about that. Our staff will go out for the Project Lead the Way core training, which is mandatory for all teachers that teach Project Lead the Way. They're graduate level courses that all of our teachers that teach Project Lead the Way courses must take. So they'll go out and take care of that this summer. And then we're looking forward to seeing where this goes.
Thank you. I just want to add something to that too, from the high school perspective. This is a move that we were able to make because of course selections by students. We had the ability to free up some tech ed teachers to teach these sections. We did request and to put into the budget for math teachers to teach computer programming, which we were unable to do this year. But it is definitely a goal of mine for the future to increase those math teachers. I think the math portion of this is also very important. to teach those sections of AP Computer Science principles and A in Computer Science principles in the future. So that is definitely something I've been working with Ms. Gasco over the past couple of months to focus on recruiting math teachers to fill positions we already have with students with candidates with computer science backgrounds as well. So that's definitely part of our goal moving forward. But this is a very nice opportunity for us to service the students that we have right now.
Anything else on the courses, on the course catalog?
Nothing earth shattering. I think that, as we went through the process, Dr. Fratelli and I meet with all of the supervisors, when we do the scheduling, when we do the course selections for students, and we talk about scheduling. And I feel like we're getting back to, like I said in the beginning, a situation where the numbers are not confusing us. We're not looking at who's taking classes and saying, wow, how is there so many honors level sections and AP level sections when we know that students are going to take classes that challenge them, but are going to be at their level. So so far, I will knock on wood and say so far that I think the process is working. And we'll be able to evaluate that as we move further through the summer and get to next year.
Excellent. Thank you so much again for listening to the community and things that we've brought up here. I know Mrs. Bora has been, this has been a passionate subject for her to make sure that these classes are available. And, and I support her in that, as well as Mrs. Kirby. We, thank you all for being creative and, coming up with a different way to do the same thing. So I think that that's amazing. And it gives our students what they need, as we move forward. So I think, again, kudos to you guys. I think it's great. I know it's a lot of effort. It's a lot of work. And you know what? Hard work is not something people are always looking to go to do, but when you do it, it pays off. And I think that we're definitely going to pay off for our students. And I love the little innuendo there about the unhoused student piece, because it does spread the wealth around, right? So you don't have a class that's got 30 students in it, but you've got and then one class with 10 students in it, right? You're kind of spreading it around and everybody's got an equal amount of students. And, that's how I took that. So if I took that wrong, we'll talk later, but, that's kind of how I took that, so that we're not, overburdening one person and.
We have to move forward regardless, so,
Right. Thank you.
this is a potential short-term solution, we think.
Appreciate it. No, absolutely. And it gives us an opportunity to work on other stuff.
May I make a comment?
You may. Yes, ma'am.
So I do want to say that something, I think it's important to note that I meet with the students on a monthly basis, and they're grades 6 through 12. And the situation that was brought to my attention by computer science, which started this conversation, came from the children. So when it came from the children, that why am I freshman, sophomore, junior, and I cannot take principles of computer science. Which one?
That's it.
Computer science principles, because then there's A after that, and I said, I don't know, and I didn't understand it. And then I started having conversations with some board members and eliciting some feedback, and I want to compliment the staff. I want to compliment the supervisors and the administration, because as soon as I brought it to Dr. Higgins' attention, we started having conversations about thinking out of the box. What can we do differently? How can we make this happen? What does it look like when he brought, during his defense rounds, the math teachers? I said, well, we can't do that because right now we don't have the funds to hire more teachers. What can we do differently? And Mr. Moraldo jumped in and started having the conversation about, well, let's see, let me work with Ms. Gaskell, and then let me see who has the right certifications, brought in Ms. Christie. So once again, success is always a team effort. We're very, very lucky that we're able to move forward with all these changes, because it is a domino. It's now not just affecting these areas, it's now affecting all of the electives. And it's very exciting because we want to give the children what they want. And that group that I meet with, they're unbelievable, and they brought this to my attention at first. And not have been ever being a teacher or administrator in this high school, I didn't have an understanding of what do you mean you can't take it. And then at one of the curriculum meetings, Dr. Higgins explained it, and then he started saying, well, maybe we could change it. Maybe we could do things differently. So once again, doing things differently, not just because it's always been done a certain way. Look at the success. So kudos to everybody that did the job, really.
Thank you. Anyone else?
One more thing,
Yes,
relating to kind of the discussions just about course selections and the way the numbers are spreading out. It's informing us for our work as we start to look at graduation requirements in the summer. So this is, these subtle tweaks here and there, and how the students redisperse, right, throughout a schedule based on how electives fall. That will guide us in terms of how we navigate the change in requirements, and what that change in requirements looks like as we move into the, because that's a summer project for us. It's something we'll, summer in terms of getting the work done, it's something we've been thinking about and looking at actual live data as we went through this with the high school. So I don't have anything else to add to that, but that's just this live going through the process is informing us for the work that we'll have as we take a look at.
No, but I think it's important to know that we understand that this is a conversation coming from the board, just like conversations in the past. And I think we're all looking forward to having the conversation about course requirements over this summer. And if change is what we need to do, then we can talk about that change. But I think the thing we need to stress is that the discussion is welcome. The discussion is welcome, and any type of discussion amongst the administration, especially from feedback, I think you know that I love getting the feedback and see what we can do in the future. I've already started to talk to Dr. Lehman and Ms. Chanley about those conversations that we can have with our supervisors over the summer about those course requirements and moving forward.
Yeah, if I could just add,
Sure.
that's on our policy committee, this evening, the policy for graduation requirements. So it's something that the policy committee is going to start discussing this evening as well.
Yep.
And then I'm sure Mrs. Chandler and Dr. Lehman will bring them back to yourself and the supervisors.
Ms. Buckle, I have a question on this, but I do want to start by thanking you guys. This is 2 for 2 tonight for you, Dr. Higgins. Both things were extremely pleasing.
Then I'm done, I can leave.
No, but I have to say, I'm, like Mrs. Cheney said, it was team effort and it's been a year-long thing that I've been going back and forth with, and I am so pleased with the outcome. So thank you, everybody, for this effort. I did want to understand what you were speaking to, Mr. Monroe. So the project Lead the Way is going to offer not AP level classes for computers. Is that right?
No, well, part. Let me
Because
try
I
this.
think I got confused. So are
So
we using math
we-
teachers for AP and then project Lead the Way for?
So the answer, and then this all will be sorted out with, when Dr. Catelli finalizes, and I obviously don't want to speak for the math department. So the way that we will be structuring these courses within the tech or career technology department is our tech ed teachers are authorized by the state to teach computer science within the Project Lead the Way curriculum management system. It also, Project Lead the Way was thinking ahead. And when they designed this new course, they designed it in alignment with the College Board.
Okay.
So a district like us, trying to do exactly what we're trying to do, was able to not necessarily, well, we're clearly not replacing an AP class. We're adding additional within a very similar but different flavored curricular framework,
Okay.
if that makes sense. So what Project Lead the Way offers us is the ability to duplicate AP computer science principles. I want to be clear because there's 2 different exams. AP computer science principles, because that particular curriculum aligns with everything else in the Project Lead the Way engineering course track. What we're deciding to do as a district is offer computer science principles both as Project Lead the Way computer science principles both as an AP course and Project Lead the Way both as a standalone course for learners that want an experience different
Not
than
an
the
AP.
advanced placement.
So-
And where you can see where I'm going with this, to make it more accessible to all types of learners with different backgrounds, strength in math, maybe not strength in math, just dipping their toes in the water, or they're a senior that just feels like, I better get some computer science under my belt before I get out of here because this is a crazy world that expects me to have it.
So we are essentially not only accommodating the demand for AP comp sci, principles and AP comp sci, but we're also going to
Correct.
allow our students to take non-AP computer
We
science,
will stand by
more students.
the principle that anything that we build new will be built equitably for all learning types.
That would be amazing. Thank you so much. That's like an additional benefit that came out of the whole conversation.
Is that it?
Yes.
Okay, next up.
Mr. Marla, work-based learning, college partnerships.
Great, thank you. And so last year, Dr. Higgins, there's 2 over there now. It's Dr. Kevin Hitcher, yes. Approached me and the business teacher specifically and said, we have an opportunity to change the way we're going to call it senior option for now, but I'm going to pivot in a moment. The program that was formerly known as senior option functions. It's not operating in the spirit of the intent. And this wasn't an indictment on anyone, it's just the program's changed. The high school students' appetite for different types of learning experience have changed. We had a couple personnel transitions due to retirement, so it was a nice opportunity to overhaul the program. And Dr. Higgins had also informed us that one of the high school's goals was to form additional post-secondary relationships in addition to, and I don't want to speak for you, so correct me, and in addition to providing more work-based experiences to all types of learners, and this includes through our TAP program. And so what we did was first thing we did was change the name to work-based learning, and I'll hand these out, from senior option, because senior option, it's not just limited to seniors anymore. And that was the first thing we wanted to do in pursuit of our path towards more college activity. Here, I'll give you one more. So basically, what we're going to do is we are going to categorize and streamline students' opportunities to engage in learning experiences outside of the campus or school day. And what we've done is we've augmented and abated some components of the program and replaced them and brought it more into the 21st century. So senior options now officially known as work-based learning. And it's broken into 4 categories: college credit, which I'll leave to last because that's going to be one that I know we're going to have questions on. Internships, some of which can be paid or unpaid, although I don't ever advise my students to take an unpaid internship. That's just my personal belief. School-based internships, which are employment opportunities from within the district, and this is something that we're very excited about, particularly with how we're going to build out some of the synergy with the TAPS program. And eventually this will not be limited just to the high schools. We've spoken with our middle school administrators. And the teacher mentorship program, which is kind of like its own little fiefdom through our Working with Children, Aspiring Tomorrow's Teachers program. So immediately we realized that most of our students at the high school, one, either didn't know about the opportunities that were available to them, or two, were not necessarily taking us up on them because our students in Monroe are so heavily invested in co-curricular and athletics and after-school activities. The appeal of senior option in lieu, or taking a college class or going to work in lieu of a elective or a 4th class was not appealing, particularly because they were going to come back to 20. And it turned out they were just going home and taking a nap, and the coaches were getting aggravated because they were coming back to practice groggy, and it was a nightmare. So, but in our discussions with the students, we were learning that the appeal just wasn't there. It wasn't worth it. I'd rather take an extra AP class out of the science department than go do something, go get a job. I know, I had the same reaction when I heard that too, but that's just me. We needed an overhaul, and we needed to bring it up to 21st century. And we also had to make access to the college programs more explicit, more enticing. First thing we did was a slight tweak to the schedule, and now, thanks to Dr. Higgins, we are going to offer our students the opportunity for late in, which would mean they could begin their school day with block 2. So that was originally something that was directly in responsive to the students' requests and feedback that it's not worth us leaving. We got to come back anyway. We also hope that might also help with some of the traffic in front of the school early in the morning, as word gets out. The other thing we did was we went out and coming out of COVID, everything shifted online learning and things like that. So we went out to some of the local schools and found out what are we going to do to make these courses more accessible and to make sure the kids know which classes are available to them as high school students or as early as junior year. So we went out and actually formed formal agreements with Mercer County College, Middlesex College, Rowan, and Kane, where we now have a course catalog of courses that would be available to high school age students that they can then select with Ms. Dale, who is the new program director, who put all of this together. And I invited her here tonight, but she graciously declined. So we actually have formal partnerships now, points of contact embedded in all of these institutions that want our kids. The way it's set up is students can earn as many as 10 college credits per year. Right now, for next year, it is going to be limited to seniors just because the timing didn't line up with scheduling, but our plan is to eventually roll this out in our path to maximizing college credit opportunities. But the idea was then to stimulate dialogue with counselors and through Ms. Dale as the broker of these opportunities to align kids with college courses that either were exploratory or might align with what they want to do post Monroe Township High School. And we've already seen an uptick in participation in the early stages of registration. The internships, you may have seen the work of them. We have interns at in the athletic office with athletic trainers. We have interns that work in the tech office. We have interns in graphic design, video production. You see them, they come and film the board meetings. These are paid employees of the district that are mentored by board-approved, our district staff, and we have built that program. Our goal, and I'll be working with Mr. Arcaro on this, is to continue to build out the school-based internships to not only provide authentic learning experiences, ones that we can control and align in accordance with the students' goals, but can also provide a service to the district. And I'm sure we can think of a million things that students could do to help improve our learning community, but also provide them with a meaningful learning experience. Part of this programmatic overhaul has been reestablishing an online presence, which isn't live yet, but will be shortly, so students can peruse opportunities, peruse a course catalog. Ms. Dale already made significant changes to the program of studies at the high school to make navigating this new program easier for students and parents. And our goal over the next, really indefinitely, was to continue to build our professional network, our post-secondary institution, our college network, and build out the school-based internships for employment opportunities within the Monroe community, and offer authentic learning experiences that are driven by curriculum. The other major difference that this program is going to bring about compared to the past is, if you flip it over, that students that enroll in the work-based learning program will also be privy to unique seminars and workshops that align, to the calendar year of what their experiences might be. And these are all in development, but you can see that Ms. Dale has created a skeleton for these types of professional and personal learning experiences that students can then use to support their experience out in the field or at college. And you can see it could be everything from resume writing, and I see where my mind's at. Resume writing and interview prep, and everything, prepping for your final exams. These are new experiences that we're going to offer support as we build towards a model program for work-based learning. The nice thing that we have learned along the way in this construction was how it aligned with a lot of the work that Mr. O'Hara was doing with his renovation of the TAPS program. So what we had decided along the way is that we're going to start building out these experiences together simultaneously, because we're all doing a lot of the same things together. And we think that there's a mentoring component here that can be factored in. And obviously, as we build out our network, it's something we are going to be handing over to you guys anyway. So there's no point in building it the same model twice. We're going to be working together on this, and we're excited about that. And we've already seen, we started out with pretty low enrollment this year, but through the early stages of registration, we've already seen an uptick in students that are willing to participate in this. And this is with very limited, we're coming to student night, students have already scheduled. But we're going to, Ms. Dale, actually, I just saw a calendar invite come through. She's got another meeting with prospective students coming up in a couple of weeks. And then my guess is that there'll be dialogue going throughout the summer with the counselors, and we'll be placing students into positions or college classes, and we'll see where it goes. But this is just the beginning. And I'm happy to be able to hand this over to Dr. Higgins. And I can't say enough about the work that Deanna Dale has done in such a short period of time while she's teaching classes. And I feel like this particular project was meant for her. And Dr. Higgins and I talked about this, and we think that what she's been able to turn over in such a short period of time and to execute it this year, we didn't think we'd be able to offer it to students this year, but now we can. And again, we hope to just give the kids what they want and what they deserve. And my guess is that there'll be a lot of questions from parents. And Deanna and Ms. Dale knows this. We're encouraging them to reach out to Ms. Dale directly and start the dialogue with their counselor if they have questions, or of course they can reach out to me. But the role of this office, work-based learning, is to facilitate placement for students as well. So we're here to help the students in preparation for what's next. So we're excited, very proud of this, and I'm confident that when it's going to continue to grow, and I'm really excited to see where these numbers go over the next 3 or 4 years.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Anybody have any questions? Ms. Kirby?
Yeah, I have a few. I think this is great. I do want to mention the logo. I love the logo on the bottom, and I've noticed on other things, tech, everybody has their own logo and they're really cute. But I think this is a great program. I just have some questions. So the early out, are students still going to be allowed to leave early if they don't have something, a job or an internship or a thing?
Yes, so I'm glad you asked that question. So one of the what I would consider an inefficient construct of the former program was that senior option was kind of a universal term that was used for anyone that wasn't peer blocked. Right, yeah, you have to take a senior option or yeah.
Senior option.
Senior out,
Right.
senior out is completely different from what I'm talking about here.
So the senior option program was the original program.
Mhm.
Senior out was started as a way to limit the amount of students in the building, so you could just leave and not do anything, which really watered down the senior option program. Because why am I gonna leave and go work when I can leave and go home? You know, so this is really a revamping of the original senior option program, and there's different incentives now than there was before.
Well, and the big,
That piece still,
Yep.
that other, that, okay.
and the biggest difference is these kids are getting high school credit and sometimes college credit, depending on which
Absolutely.
program they choose. Those kids have satisfied their credit requirements, therefore they can leave. They're passing on the credit opportunity.
So is there any discussion of possibly holding like a maybe student seminar during the day or or even a parent seminar at night? Where this is, because I understand it because I'm so embedded in the process of you coming to these meetings and explaining it and having a senior and knowing what the options are. But I think that there's going to be a lot of parents that are going to really not understand what it is. Will we be able to have something like that, or even more information pushed out with a presentation to say, this is another option, you know, for your student, and you know, where they can see the courses, because I know everyone knows the course guide, but could there be something maybe pushed out to them to say, now we've had these partnerships, these are additional courses, because I know that's been a big thing that we've heard from the community, that they are looking for their students to be able to take these college level courses.
Yeah, so we've met with, so Ms. Dale visited all of the juniors prior to their registration. Now, again, that's, I don't know how efficient that mechanism is going to be, particularly the timing of it, but that was one thing that we had done. We have not launched an online presence yet. That is very close to coming to fruition. But what I can do in the short term, given the sensitivity of the calendar as we head deeper into the spring, I'll work with Mr. Perez and Elliot to create some sort of shortcut to where they could, like, one-stop shopping for information at minimum, to where I can connect them with Ms. Dale and we can get the dialogue going.
And maybe even if the district, you know, if the district administration wants to maybe do some type of press release around it,
That'd be
you know,
a good
to announce it in the community.
Sure. That's easily done.
To get the, you know, to get the information out there and the questions coming in.
Mhm.
You know, maybe all the information is not out there readily, but it sparks the parent to say, hey, wait a minute, as you're going into junior, senior year, maybe I need to, you know, call up your guidance counselor and we need to have a meeting and figure out what you want to do, what options there are. Because I think this is a humongous benefit to our students, absolutely.
Yeah, I would say programmatic awareness is our top priority right now, heading into the spring.
If I can just add to that real quick, this started out as a high school goal a year ago. And everybody's done a fantastic job, but we're still in the middle of a process. This is not the end product yet.
Sure.
We have lofty goals when it comes to dual credit enrollment. We're looking at the possibility of somewhere down the road, students being able to graduate high school with an associate's degree at a reduced rate. And possibly doing that within 3 years or quicker than 4 years. So this is definitely just, and that is for any student on the educational challenging spectrum. It could be for an AP student, an honor student, a college prep student, anybody that wants to get out of college early and go to, get out of high school early and go to a community college or go into the workforce. But again, we are still in the process, and these are conversations that are much deeper than what we can have right now. But that is definitely part of the process of getting the information out there.
And I'm glad you mentioned one thing, because I didn't mention it. So I want to be clear that the program through work-based learning is different than a true articulation agreement with a college. So for example, our honors college marketing and business org has direct articulation with Middlesex. So as they sit in that class with Mr. Pafaci, they're simultaneously getting Middlesex credit and Monroe credit at the same time. Same thing in the Entrex class with the University of Delaware. This is not that. This is different. This is just access to straight up college classes sooner than later. So those are two different types of mechanisms, if that makes sense.
If I may, so they're not getting taught by teachers in our school, they have access to the
Yes.
college and they can go take it on their own, but they're not.
That's correct.
And if I may make a comment, I think this is turning out to be my favorite curriculum meeting already today. I love the name work-based learning instead of senior option. That's brilliant. And my question was that is senior option being replaced by work-based learning, but senior out still exists?
Yeah, that's what it said.
And one last comment, the video production department is a great tool to spread awareness. I guess we can make a little video about it and put it on our website, because
That actually might be the first school-based internship we've had, might have been the video production.
you can get some use out of that, right? I think it's easier for people to watch the video than read the material in our program of study. It's a little hard to manage, but if this link is there with the video, there'll be more people educated faster. We could put it out on our Facebook as well.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much for.
And I think this also goes back to the whole graduation requirement discussion that we had, previously, and where that came from is if we are in line with what all the other districts around us are doing and require not having additional requirements that the state isn't requiring, it opens up our students the opportunity to take these type of courses and these type of opportunities. So it all kind of fits together, and I think it's a wonderful direction that we're going in. So thank you for everybody for all the.
You have a question?
Yeah, I just wanted to know when do you anticipate it being in effect fully?
Hopefully we'll never be done developing. I know that's a cliche answer, but, so these 4 items here are ready to go for next year.
For 2023, 2024.
Yes, ma'am. So, our goal would be I would say our our short-term goals would be to build out the school-based internship program, which would be the opportunities for learners to be employed by the district. And we've had tremendous success in those programs. I could spend a whole meeting talking about that whole thing. And that's going to fit right in with what we're working on with Mr. Arcaro. The internships, obviously, again, whether it's TAPS or work-based learning, it's all the same. We're building our professional network. And obviously, we're going to keep adding colleges to our partnership list as fast as we're working with Stockton currently. And we have other colleges, everyone's going to join with us, but the challenge for us is just finding the courses that they're willing to offer the high school students and find alignment and being able to make sure that everyone's we don't want any surprises. We want to communicate complete information. So what you see here, these 4 pillars of the program, that would be our starting point. We're going to continue to build out categorically in all those areas, hopefully in perpetuity.
Excellent. Thank you so much again. Another one that hit it out of the park. Appreciate it. I have to agree with Gonzalez. So far, turning into my favorite curriculum committee meeting of almost all 3 years, I think. I don't know, but this is the fruits of our labor.
And we might even be able to house some unhoused students through this program.
Really? That would be great. It's always more than one way to skin a cat. I know, I was gonna say. Hey, next up, I guess, Dr. Higgins with Theater Arts and Mr. Monroe, you're both tag teaming this one?
Yes, so we would like to present the idea of bringing dramatic arts into the elective program at middle school. I think it's something that will teach students confidence. It will teach students how to get out in front of an audience. We will explore stagecraft, electronics within the booth, sound design, lighting. So that would all be part of it. It would be a 7th and 8th grade elective, working with Ms. Moralda.
Sure. So when looking at our performing arts program, right now is currently band and chorus, musical theory and things like that interlude. Other than a strings program, which we won't talk about tonight, but we, the other missing component to our performing arts, and I want to make sure we differentiate drama from musical theater because they're 2 different animals, would be the formal creation of a theater arts program. And again, this is in direct response to community demand. We have a long-standing history of producing fantastic musicals, particularly here at the high school, and especially at the middle school, and then COVID kind of threw a wrench into that when we were in the process of bringing it in. Over the summer, in the original summer program, I believe it was, 2021 at that point, one of the summer enrichment camps we ran was a musical theater camp, and it was, we loved it. We found that we had the personnel to execute it. And of course, given the layers and the strength of our performing arts on both chorus and instrumental music, we thought the time was right to add an elective. And also, Dr. Higgins has asked us to try to balance the electives at the middle school, because again, we have some disproportionately populated electives, and we look at what the community is asking for. And so theater arts was the obvious answer. You know, we can't have foods classes. So, the way it's gonna work, similar to students that participate in band and chorus at the middle school, students can participate in 2 performing arts programs. They can't participate in 3, you just can't do it. So students can join, and we'll, you know, the guidance counselors are gonna tell me, but we'll have to cross-team them. But we will have students that will either participate in chorus and theater arts, or chorus and band, or just either, or standalone as an elective. And that is a premium that I have to say that the middle school has always offered our students, because we would hate to make them choose one or the other in the performing arts. And there's just so much synergy, and it's all the same teachers anyway. Our hope would be to, you know, continue to build the theater arts program in the district, and then eventually up to the high school to complement the drama program. You know, but again, we're going to do it slowly and responsibly. This is going to be a pilot year next year. It'll be a fully inclusive learning experience for students. And the reason why, again, we like theater arts, for the reasons that Dr. Higgins mentioned, there are so many different layers of the program, whether it is in the tech side or the construction of a set, which is what they're doing literally right now at the middle school, the painting. It's not just dancing and singing. There are many really neat opportunities for students to get authentic curricular experiences, and many high schools even offer theater arts programs for students that don't even ever step on stage. So there's many ways we can develop this in many different ways. So I'm excited about the opportunity. I'm grateful that the middle school, for those of you that don't know how difficult it is for middle school to schedule our band and chorus program, I think Jim had hair on his head at one point. When he got started, but it is,
For removing
yeah.
the hair, but making it.
Thankfully, I would have to work with Jim and the guidance counselors, and they do an awesome job, literally until the 11th hour at the middle school. And so this is going to be something that I am really excited. And if you want to get a sneak preview, the high school's musical will be on next weekend, and the middle school's musical will be the following weekend. So you can get a taste of what's coming. And
Thursday, Mr. Wall.
sorry, that next Thursday for the high school and the following Thursday for the middle school. Yes. So back-to-back weekends of theater arts, and then next year at the middle school, students will have access to a curricular program.
Fantastic. Excellent, thank you. I think that's terrific. So many things you can do in theater, carpentry, lectures work,
Sound and light.
sound, yeah, audios.
Well, and last thing, that's another benefit of
Sound
being
effects.
in a high school facility.
Mhm,
You
right.
know, the Moresco Center is still one of the premier performing arts centers in the county.
Mhm.
And for the high school kid, or middle school kids not to take advantage of that would be silly.
Sure. No, I think it's great. Excellent, thank you.
So I just have one
Questions?
question.
Sorry.
Yeah. Would the course culminate at the end with the play, or would the play still be an after?
So the play will still be, we would consider the actual play to be a co-curricular extension of the class. The purpose of the class will not be to produce a play,
Okay.
much like the purpose of an art class isn't to set up an art show.
Okay.
So, but obviously there's gonna be a lot of carryover, but that, we're not gonna like build a class to teach you a test. We don't build a class to teach you a play.
Okay.
Perfect, like it. Nice job. All right, next up is Dr. Higgins and Dr. Roselle.
Okay.
Advanced ELA in the middle school.
So this is a new course at the middle school. This has been a passion project of Ms. Chanley's for a while, and we began working on this in the fall, right before we began our budgeting cycle. We started to have these conversations with the goal of creating a course that would be challenging, engaging, and really meet the needs of a top tier of students who've been identified by our district through multiple measures of criteria. So the initial identification process for students eligible for this course is the COGAT assessment, which we give students in first grade and fifth grade and new students to our district. What is different about the use of the COGAT for this program is we're looking at the specific verbal subscore. So for example, with the TAG program, the composite scores are used. Because this is specifically for ELA, we're looking at that verbal score. NJSLA level, the NJSLA writing subscore, the MAP level, and the reading level, the Lexile level of MAP as well. Once we used this screening protocol and identified students, Mrs. Smith and I next week will be providing a writing assessment to students. And this is not a traditional writing assessment. There are 3 very open-ended creative prompts that students can choose from. And we're encouraging them to really use their style and use their voice. Forget, what you've been told about a 5-paragraph essay for a test or things like that. Really show us your potential as a writer. That will serve as the final data point for identification for this program, for this course. During the summer, we are going to map our curriculum, and the curriculum will meet our standards. It is going to be derived from the NJSLA standards. We're also going to really look at thematic units similar to the courses that we already have at the middle school, the language arts courses, project and performance-based tasks, inquiry-based learning, where we provide a problem to students, we provide a scenario to students, we provide a text set to them to begin to understand a topic. And from there, they develop questions. They design where their learning will go next under the guidance of their teachers. And really engage students in self-directed learning goals to look at their learning profile, how they feel they learn best, where their areas of strength are and their areas of growth, and to compile a portfolio that shows that learning along the way. So we are at the step right now where we have an initial identification process. We have the writing assessment plan for next week. Mrs. Smith and I will be rolling up our sleeves to score those writing assessments holistically using a rubric. And we will be notifying parents by June to let those parents know if students are eligible. We'll be mapping the curriculum this summer, and next year is dedicated to collaborative planning meetings, to reflecting, to fine-tuning the process, continuing to analyze the data that we have, and working with teachers, with administrators, going into the final curriculum development, which would be summer of 2024. Dr. Higgins or Ms. Smith, do you have anything to add?
I think one of the things that we felt was really important was that we looked at the parent tag list, which identified students that did not meet the criteria for this, that we're developing for this. It was more like, they're good, all good students, but we're looking to find those students who are maybe the top 5% or less of each grade level, one class per grade level. We don't want to peel off all the smart kids and really start leveling ELA across the board. This is really meant to have an accelerated pace and a really in-depth examination of all of the elements that make up the ELA curriculum, and really challenging these students to have some genuine investigation and exploration of reading and writing as a means of communicating and expanding their knowledge base. So I wish I was teaching again, because I think this is going to be a super, super exciting opportunity for our students and the teachers. Of course, we get wrong. And Dr. Roselle's done a great job with, she loves her data, done a great job with really figuring out what we need to do. We thought we would start by eliminating certain criteria, but in the end, it looks like really the pool is going to come with these students meeting all the criteria. Anybody have any questions?
I just quick, so this is for all grade levels, 6, 7, and 8.
It's for grades 6, 7, and 8.
Does it, do away with humanities tag, or does that still continue?
I'd like to explain that if I may.
I was gonna say, I'm not, Mr. Morales is the tag person.
But I'd like to explain that if I may, because I think it's important, especially for parents that are watching, and some questions that may come from this. The Talented and Gifted program, which started here over 20 years ago, I was in charge of as the assistant principal at Applegarth. Going back as far as 20 years, the criteria literally was you called up and you said, I want my child in tag, your child was placed in tag, and that was the only criteria. So, and I'm not being disrespectful, I'm just being factual. Moving forward, we started to try and put in protocols, procedures, and processes, and what it looked like. We started to look at the time, I'm gonna date myself, we started to look at the GEPA, which is the grade 8 proficiency assessment. Excuse me, NJAS was 6th and 7th, and then grade 8 was the GEPA. And we started to look at all these tests, and we started to try and have some area of narrowing in on the children that should be in that. Fast forward many years. We started having conversations. I used to work side by side with Ms. McConnell, and we started to realize I created, when I say I, and I don't mean to say I because I know it's a we, but I'm going to say it was my thought process to say, since Talented and Gifted should really be part of the school day, it never was. Let's try and make it as authentic as possible since we're not doing it right, and not disrespectfully, we were having it after school. Math has always had an accelerated program, as it should, and has always been a program that ELA should have had as well. And for whatever reason, I don't know, I wasn't in charge, we didn't have it. So when I started to, that's why it's my passion. So when I started to have these conversations, we should be doing it authentically like we do for math. We should be following the New Jersey State protocol and have it during the school day. I said, well, if nothing else, let's at least make it a humanities and a STEM approach. So we started to look at it from the idea of, let's look at the children and try and make it problem-based, let's try and make it project-based, and let's try and have an end result, because we weren't doing authentic talent and gifted as per what the New Jersey State was requiring during the school day. So I wanted to make it as high level as possible. So that's how you got humanities, and that's how you got your STEM. Fast forward, when I became acting, one of the things, similar to graduation requirements and all these different programs, all these different things that I knew about from speaking with children, I went to Ms. McConnell and I said, we're not doing it right. Can we do it right? Why can't we do it right? Well, then you'd have to have a class like you have math. I go, okay, well, why can't we do this? So I went to the expert and I said, we need to do in ELA what we're doing in math. That is what New Jersey State requires. If you go and look at other districts, this is what's going on. And I'm not saying tracking and narrowing down. I'm saying, let's have a talented and gifted program in ELA like we have in math during the school day. So we started to have these conversations, and I will absolutely compliment Dr. Rozelle and then Ms. Smith. We started to have these conversations, and the next thing you know, Dr. Lehman and I spoke about it. He brought it to Dr. Rozelle. I was invited to the meetings because it's my background. We started talking about thematic units and the way we're going to do things. And the next thing I know, I said, I would really like to see this for September. Do you think it's realistic? And bang, she did it. So I kudos to you, because what's going to happen is, there will no longer be STEM after school. So, and there'll be no longer humanities after school, because this is replacing it. And we're starting to look at a pilot program, not for next year, but for the year after, to look at science, which would be in the 8th grade because of the level that they would need in the area of biology.
You're up. Next step for you.
Chairman, can I just
Thank you.
clarify something about
I
that?
want to make sure we have time for the summer.
Right, but because I know how that's gonna get interpreted. It's STEM,
Well, I said.
after school STEM tag, if it's not there, there's still, I can count off the top of my head, 4 after-school clubs at the middle
That's correct.
school that feature STEM programming: computer science, robotics, transportation technology, and the TSA. So I just want to make that clear that there will still be plenty of after-school STEM activities.
As well as for ELA. So whether it be a writing club, a book club, whatever it might be, the opportunities, clubs can be expanded in that area with no problem.
Our goal is to address everything during school hours, which was missing, and I really appreciate in language arts now during school hours. It's children that deserve it will get that extra edge.
And they can do other things.
They don't have to stay back after school for that.
They can do something else after school.
They can do something else.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, Kirby, did you have a question?
Nope.
Okay, great. Anybody else? I just want, we have one more agenda item and I don't want to miss it.
Okay.
And the financial committee is, they're sitting there waiting.
You have 11 minutes.
I know,
So,
I know.
I was gonna say, I think we're okay.
She can do it.
Yeah,
Good, but.
there's, so
Never know.
it is summer reading list time. So we have 3 grade level bands, were provided in the packets and will be available, to all families. They'll be posted on the website, and they are also pushed out, from my office multiple times throughout the summer. The first grade level band is K to 5, and that begins with some information for parents, parent resources, ways to read with your child and different tools that we have available. The habits of good readers. These are the things that we reinforce with our students every day. Good readers have a favorite reading spot. Good readers have favorite genres. Good readers talk about what they read because we want students to engage with. We know when we've read a good book, we can't wait to share it with someone. So we want students to be able to do that as well. It begins with a list of picture books. It is important to note that all of our summer reading lists are based upon choice. We take a great deal of pride in trying to offer as many choices as possible, and they are collaborative efforts. The K to 5 reading list remains substantially unchanged with the exception of the addition to our favorite authors list. We added Alan Gratz, who writes historical fiction. Our one school read at the middle school will be a historical fiction book about 9/11. Something again that Ms. Chanley is passionate about, is written by Alan Gratz. That is his newest book. I read it with my son. Refugee, which was a one book, one school read a couple years ago at Applegarth. He had also written that. So he is a favorite author, so we had to add him to our favorite authors list. And then some favorite series. These were based on what the public library tells me is being checked out, what we see from our school libraries being checked out. So there's 4 additional series books there. Series books, parents, if you're listening, as soon as you get a child hooked on a series, they will plow through that series. I've experienced it with my students, but also with my own children. So that's why we have those series books in there. So that is our K to 5 list. Any question about our K to 5 list? Great, so I'm just gonna go in chronological order, and our next list is our middle school list. Again, we got some feedback about the books students read the most and the books that students read the least, so we tried to sub out some of those least selected books. And we swapped them out with some of the winners of the 2022 School Library Journal Award winners. A couple had to add some nonfiction titles. All of our new titles are highlighted on the list because I wanted everyone just to not have to know what was new and what remained. And then just a couple other titles under nonfiction. Narrative nonfiction, literary nonfiction is a genre that is becoming incredibly important for students to be able to navigate through, to read a substantial amount of text that is not fiction and remain engaged. So we wanted to add a couple of those new books there. Otherwise, again, the middle school list substantially unchanged.
So whatever is highlighted.
Whatever's highlighted is new. If it is not highlighted.
That's my question. That was gonna be the first question I asked. Now you've answered the question.
And I apologize that was not clear. I did convey that messaging when I sent along the list. So then our high school list. So we take a look at these starting in January with the teachers each year. So we elicit feedback from our students. We get some feedback from our checkouts here, but we have a really strong teen librarian, Emily Mazzoni, over at the public library, and she is constantly keeping us updated about the titles and the authors that students are checking out books. The checkout rate at our public library is awesome for our high school students. So the grade 9 list remained unchanged. There was really no book that students wanted to drop off of there, so that list remained unchanged. For grade 10, Pride and Inspirational History of the LGBTQ+ movement, we had a gap where we needed a little more nonfiction, and this also served 2 purposes. It was a school library journal winner for nonfiction, and it also incorporates an aspect of U.S. history. Grade 10 is an American literature survey course, so it fills in a gap there. And our students have given us feedback that they want to read more about these topics as well, in the capacity of nonfiction. They may read a fiction book with characters who are members of the LGBTQ plus community, but really having that nonfiction piece they're interested in as well. 311. We wanted to add a short story title. This is a new title, Sabrina and Karina. Latinas living in the American West, again, a School Library Journal Award winner, and allows us to have that genre of the short story because it's not just novels, it's not just full-length text. We want to have graphic novels, verse, dramas when possible on our list as well. Our seniors, we had 2 new texts. The first is Abuela, Don't Forget Me, by Rex Ogle. It is a free verse memoir, so we have that nonfiction element. Our first unit for our seniors is a memoir unit. It helps prepare them to write their college essays. So this is a great mentor text for that as well. And then Murder Among Friends, true crime set in the 1920s, how Leopold and Leib tried to commit the perfect crime, served the purpose of a graphic novel, which we didn't have on the list, and again, a School Library Journal winner for 2022. And then finally, on our AP language and composition list, this is our 11th grade course that really examines rhetoric and how language is used. The text that was on there was not getting great feedback from students. The teachers loved it, but they said, summer readings for our students. It's to help prepare them for the types of tasks that they're going to have to do, particularly in an AP class. So it was subbed out by one of the recommendations from the Monroe Township Public Library, If I Was Your Girl. So that is the final change, and AP Lit and Comp remains unchanged. Anyone have any questions?
Anybody?
No. I'm interested about the highlight. Or are they, can they read?
Students can read anything they want. We take great care to really curate these lists based on thematic links to our curriculum. To look at the AP are required. They do have one required text and then a choice. Because of the nature of the AP course. That is the only course that has required reading. Those we use the recommendations from College Board for those. We use kind of looking at what our AP past exams have been, where some of our areas for growth might be on our AP scores, and we try to match some of that rhetoric there. But other than that, we just want students reading, and not just reading, listening to podcasts, listening to audiobooks. Listening to audiobooks is reading. I'm always listening to a book and reading a book at the same time. So that is our summer reading.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. This was a great meeting. Thank you all. We got through everything.
2 minutes to spare.
With 2 minutes to spare. What do you think? Pretty amazing.
You want me to give a 2-minute highlight on AP
Yes.
scores?
2 minutes, 2-minute highlight on AP scores. Yes, go ahead.
This is a broad overview of a few highlights. We'll get into some more details when we do, our scores presentations. So enrollment, we had 518 students take tests last year. 1,108 unique tests were taken. So we have students that are taking multiple tests. That's very common for us. It's slightly up from last year, from 2021. Our average AP scores are above what they were the previous school year, and as well as our percentage of students scoring 3 or better. Score here. And again, we have a natural up and down, again, not significantly, but it's just the student population that takes it. Nationally, we're above the national average on all of our AP scores. Let's see, we have our language scores. As a department, we're a 4.2 average score, social studies 3.5, science 3.3, math 3.7, English 4.1, and the arts is 3.0. The arts is the only one that's down a little bit relative to all the other departments. Everybody else is up from the previous year. And it's related to, it's a very small group of students that takes it. So you have much more variability when you have 8, 10, 12 students taking it, there's much more variability than, in social studies, you have hundreds of students taking it. Percentage of students scoring 3 or higher by department, World language, 95% of the students scored a 3 or better. Social studies, 75%. Science, 71%. Math, 80%. English, 95%. And the arts is 68%. So that's percentage scoring 3 or better. Our scores, again, overwhelmingly in just about all the departments are up from the previous year. And in the future meetings, we can kind of break it out a little bit deeper for you. But in general, these are scores, not in general. Overall, these are scores we should be very excited about. Our students do a lot of hard work, and we're excited to see the scores and celebrate the scores. That's it. Just a really brief overview. We have 2 minutes. So.
Very on.
Okay, we're at 7. How was it, Chair? Any questions?
I'll save them.